out, let Delcy take a little bit of a walk. And Betty's looking at those lights, and she reaches in the car for her binoculars. She looks up. She can't make out what it is. Barney takes a look as well. He figures it's just a commercial jet. Must be heading toward Canada. But then a few minutes later, the lights get a little lower and a little closer. Just a bit uncomfortable, the Hills decide to get back in their car and keep heading south. They drive close to an hour. Now they're down in the Franconia Notch region along Route 3. It's dark, and because it's a Tuesday night and it's very late, there's no other cars around. As they're driving toward Franconia Notch, suddenly those lights get really low, past just over a nearby restaurant, up over Cannon Mountain, just over some signal towers, and then next thing they know, it's right by the Old Man in the Mountain face. Now we know the Old Man in the Mountain is about 40 feet tall, and Betty estimates that this craft, whatever it is at least double that size. And now this craft seems to have taken notice of them. Nervous, they keep heading south, but the lights follow, and pretty soon this craft comes down just in front of them on the road, and they're forced to stop. It's no more than 100 yards away, and maybe 100 feet off the ground. Barney's nervous. He reaches into his pocket where he carries a pistol to make sure it's still there. He's a black man in an interracial couple, and this is a tough time to be in that situation, so he's always armed. As he steps out of the car, he gets the binoculars again, and he takes a look, and he sees in the windows of the craft, there's these humanoid-type figures moving around. Then all but one step back from the window, and he's looking at the one, and he'd later say he felt like he was receiving some kind of telepathic message. Keep looking. Keep paying attention. He does, but then suddenly something changes. Suddenly, the craft lowers by another 50 feet. It gets closer, and Barney starts to panic. Get in the car! They're going to capture us! He yells to his wife. As they hop in, suddenly the car starts to vibrate. Everything around them is buzzing in some weird way. They can't figure out what's going on. And then, nothing. We don't know how much time passes, but suddenly that buzzing starts again, all around them. And now they realize they're 35 miles south, they don't know how they got there, and there's this strange light of fire in the road in front of them. They're panicked. Their watches have stopped. They don't know what to do, so they turn the car around and they keep heading south, getting back to their Portsmouth, New Hampshire home, where they arrive just about dawn. They're confused. Barney feels like he's contaminated in some way, and he insists on taking a shower to try to wash it off. Betty, she notices some tears in her dress and some pink powder that's on there that she didn't notice before. So she puts it away in her closet, feeling in some way that this is important, that we need to preserve this in some way. That day, they realize their memory is completely fragmented from that night. So they decide to call Pease Air Force Base and report their findings. They speak with one of the officers who takes down all the report, and then would later note in his official write-up that he believes the couple misidentified the planet Jupiter. I've never seen Jupiter on the road either. This is one of those cases where the official report suddenly adds a little more credence to an otherwise incredible story. Well, Betty and Barney Hill are still confused and they want answers. So they start talking to local experts, academics, and so on, and eventually they make their way to a person that specializes in hypnotherapy and hypnoregression. Under hypnosis, they start to remember details that they didn't recall before. Betty remembers one of the strangest details was that she was being led into this craft, whatever it was, and that these figures, these humanoid-type figures, were pulling at her teeth. Barney wore dentures. His teeth came out. So they were pulling at her teeth. She remembers being poked and prodded. And when she came out of the hypnosis, she drew a star map, a constellation, that matched up to an actual constellation in the sky. And no one can figure out exactly what happened to them. But their story goes from just a side note to a legend. It turns into a book, and soon everybody knows about the story of Betty and Barney Hill. And to make it somewhat official, it's curious. The taxpayers in New Hampshire their government erected a sign right along Route 3. Here, as we stand next to this sign and read, this was the first widely reported UFO abduction report in the United States. Right along here on Route 3. Now, as we drive down Route 3 here late at night, as we often do, through the White Mountains, through those lonely stretches of road, we always have to keep one eye on the road. Of course, there's moose, there's other dangers, we have to pay attention. But we might want to keep our other eye free, aimed toward the sky, just in case that craft decides to return tonight.